Hello, hello. Welcome to the stream. My name is Evan Freiberger. As most of you know, I just looking at chat real quick. Hey, how's everybody doing? But yeah, my name is Evan Freiberger. As most of you know, and some of you don't. Maybe, who knows? Maybe you're new to the channel. But in today's forecast, we're going to be talking about a couple of days of severe weather, some days more dangerous than others. So we're going to be going over the forecast and what to kind of expect from some of these days, how the models go. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're a little bit wrong. But yeah, hopefully everybody is doing fabulous today. Let's see. Did anybody get any storms this week? Just wondering. You having a good day? That's good. Hello, Kova. Welcome. Hey, Karen. And hey, Sarah. Burgers are better than fries. I agree on that. No storm for tornado tours. Not in Europe. Yeah. How's Wisconsin tornado risk looking? So far, I don't think Wisconsin is in a tornado risk yet. I guess there's a little bit, just for a little bit here today. Yeah, a little tiny one they added later on today. But yeah, we'll go look at that in a little bit. And thank you, Robert, for being a member for 9 months. I appreciate that. Thanks for the severe weather coverage. Yeah, no problem. No problem. Thank you for being a member and continuing support. Yeah, there's actually a 2% in northern Wisconsin. We had wind on Thursday night, but not like crazy. Yeah, we had a couple of storms today. I actually was able to get a little bit of a chase in. Just drove around and looked at some storms, and it was pretty nice. It was pretty nice. Got even a little bit of small hail out of them, some pea-sized hail. Thank you, Amp. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's very hot in Florida today. Yeah, I took a break yesterday, David. But I'm reworking my schedule, so I'm going to bed no later than 12 p.m. Or 12 a.m. now, and waking up at around 8 a.m. So essentially, it just gives me a whole lot more day. That I can focus on me. Like if I have any chores or groceries that need to be done, I can get all that done in the early morning, because storms usually fire later on in the day most of the time. So it just gives me some extra time to get a lot of things done, focus on myself a little bit more in terms of my health, like workout. Like yesterday, I was able to go on a run for the first time, and today I was able to go. I did a little bit of working out, so it feels good, and I'm eating healthier, making my own food, and hopefully these changes help lower the stress levels a little bit. But let's kind of go over to the current radar out here. And as you can see, we do have a little bit of a severe thunderstorm warning up here in Wisconsin. Believe it or not, got not half dollar golf ball sized hail with 60-mile-per-hour winds heading towards Elko and parts of Nashville there in Wisconsin. A little bit of a tornado threat with these storms. Not seeing a whole lot of rotation, but if you live out in front of these storms, like over there near Crandon, just be weather aware, as a little spin up cannot be ruled out with some of these guys. Also, we have a little bit of severe weather down here in parts of Florida currently happening. Over there near Boynton Beach, got a storm here with the potential for quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. Thank you, Weston Plays, for gifting another membership. If you guys got a membership from Weston Plays, make sure that you say thank you in chat. They add a little 2%. Yeah, they did. On the very northern tip of Wisconsin. But yeah, no rotation with these storms right now. I don't think we're going to be getting one of those sneaky little threats down there. But this is what it looks like currently underneath this storm in Boynton Beach. Looks like our camera's doing a little spinny. Let's come back over to here. Get it back up. Just very rainy, a little bit windy. You can see actually cars are starting to slow down out there. Actually, that's a little bit more windy than I was expecting. Yeah, we're starting to get traffic here on I-95 north of Boynton. A little bit of rain and wind. But yeah, so that's what's going on currently. In terms of severe weather, I think we had one not too long ago over here, but essentially, these storms are going to move off the coast here for Florida. Y'all's severe threat will be pretty much done. These storms will continue probably into the nighttime hours. Once the instability, though, starts to wane into the nighttime hours, these storms should start to quit. And then we also have some storms, I think, yeah, over here near Colorado as well. And these storms actually extend all the way down into Iowa. We're not really expecting too much severe weather south of Cedar Rapids, but some of these storms might try to become severe. But it should mainly just be these ones up in the northern portion of Wisconsin. And again, can't rule out a brief spin up. And in fact, we actually had a 2-inch hail report all the way up here near Bessemer, Michigan, which is super far north. But I guess it is May. And then we also have some severe weather happening in Canada as well. So let me take off these cameras here. But yeah, so that's that. Let's kind of come over here to today's severe weather risk. As you can see, we've got a slight risk up here in parts of Wisconsin, and coming over here, you can see that we do have a little tiny 2% tornado risk over here north of Murrow, going up into Rhinelander, and then Iron River. Everywhere on the backside here, they're like near like Ironwood, Medford, Marshfield. You guys are going to be good to go for the rest of the day, so don't really have to worry about too much up there. And then over here, still watching for maybe a little bit of a tornado threat near the coast, but those storms are about to exit off the coast and they're not really rotating too much. Maybe they might produce a water spout though as they leave the coast, so keep an eye on that. If you live near the beach, also have a little area of showers and rain. This is what I was chasing earlier. Some of these storms could still be severe down there, and we're talking about a small damaging wind threat and a small hail threat. Hey, thank you, Lady J, for the gifting 5 memberships. I do appreciate that. Thank you very much. If you got a membership from Lady J, make sure you say thank you. But yeah, so that's what we're dealing with across the country currently. Now let's come over to the tomorrow's outlook. So first day on our list of severe weather days here, which is going to be pretty nonstop, really going into tomorrow and to the days after that. As you can see, we do have a little area here, a little 3 out of 5 for severe weather. That's going to be for Dodge City, Garden City, Hayes, Great Bend, Hutchinson, and then also Woodward, Liberal, Ulysses, Goodland, McCook, Manhattan, Topeka, and Emporia are in a 2 out of 5, and then we have a 1 out of 5 for severe weather here in the green, and that's going to extend all the way from the panhandle of Texas, going up into Missouri, Iowa, and into North and South Dakota, Nebraska, parts of Wyoming, and Colorado. Also expecting a little bit of a severe risks again here along the coast of Florida, and that is going to be kind of the same kind of thing that's happening today, just some pop-up thunderstorms could be possible up and around that region. But yeah, our main tornado risk for tomorrow is not going to exist there in Florida, but instead up here where this enhanced risk is. We got a 5% for tornadoes there near Hayes, Great Bend, Hutchinson, Dodge City, and Garden City, and then a little bit of a 2% around that as well, around Ulysses, Woodward, Topeka, Emporia, and southern Nebraska there. So it's a little 5% chance for tornadoes if you live in these areas. Just make sure you're being weather aware, but that's not the major threat. The major threat of this day is going to be damaging winds of 75 miles per hour and above. We are expecting an MCS type event to kind of pick up here, which is kind of similar to what we've been dealing with here along the Gulf Coast, where we've been having these little MCSs form one after the other that bring those very damaging winds. Sometimes doesn't always materialize, as you are relying on a cold pool of air to surge, which sometimes happens, sometimes doesn't. But that seems to be the largest threat for this day here, and that's again going to be in kind of the same areas that are in that 5% tornado risk, and then also including Liberal and Lake in there, and a little bit lower of a risk, but 15% chance of those 75 mile per hour winds and above. You get a yellow area around that. That's the 15%, and then a 5% for 60 mile per hour winds and above in the yellow and the brown, and then extends all the way up into North and South Dakota, Nebraska, Wyoming, Colorado, and the panhandle of Texas, even parts of Missouri and Iowa, and a little tiny sliver there of Minnesota. Going over to the hail risk, you can see we're also going to be talking about some large to very large hail. That's going to be displaced a little bit further off to the west. That's going to be for areas like Goodland, Ulysses, Dodge City, Garden City, Great Bend, Hayes. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, you guys are all going to be in that threat for 2-inch hail and above, and then we have a yellow area around that 15% chance for quarter-sized hail and above. Then that includes parts of Wichita, and then we got a 5% around that in the same kind of areas, extending a little bit to the east of the wind risk, and this is going to be for Ames, Des Moines, Quincy, Columbia, there in southern Iowa and northern Missouri, where we're going to be watching out for quarter-sized hail. Small chance for that, but it's still possible. Those are the kind of threats that we're talking about there. But now let's kind of talk about the timing of the storm tomorrow. So let's kind of come over here to the HRRR real quick. And this is your future radar, and we'll go over to the 18Z. So this is kind of the timing of the storms and the intensity of them. So going into, early morning tomorrow, got some little bit of storminess and with some rain happening over there near Grand Island, going over into Omaha, and then that pushes off to the east, and then we have kind of a little boundary here. This is kind of going to be like a dry line esque boundary here, kind of form. We get a lot of precipitation that upscales very quickly, forms that cold pool, and then that kind of surges off to the east, and that could potentially bring some spin up tornadoes there, and the potential for some damaging winds, very damaging winds, and 2-inch hail and above also could be associated with that. But the faster these upscale, kind of the smaller the hail risk will be, but you can still get bigger hailstorms within these embedded line of storms sometimes. So, but that 15% hail risk is mainly over on the west side, though. Because of that reason, you usually get smaller hail once these storms upscale to this degree. But yeah, this should get kicked off at around 6 p.m. Push off towards the east, towards like Wichita, south of Dodge City by around 9 p.m. And then we have some extra showers and chances for severe weather as far north as North and South Dakota and Nebraska down there. Now, if we go over to the CIN, typically in this kind of pattern, you could get some stronger storms form further to the south. But in this case, as you can see, we just have a lot of CIN. What that is, that's the cap. So this is going to keep this kind of a lid on the storms as they propagate off to the east, and not really expecting too much to form further to the south. If we come over here to the instability before these storms really get going, you can see that the atmosphere is juiced for some severe weather. I mean, 2,000 to 3,000 joules per kilogram is plenty of fuel for these storms. Coming over to the lower level and upper level winds to kind of check the spin associated with this storm, you can see that as this starts to pick up and that MCS forms, you can see that it creates locally some stronger shear and the lower levels of up to 70 to 80 mile per hour winds. So definitely some spin ups are going to be possible around that. And then, going up into the upper level winds, you can see that we have a broad flow kind of aloft here, and that's going to be enough to support a tornadic threat along the leading edge, especially when we get some larger gusts out of the storm. And again, the main area where those winds are going to be focused are right here in this orange area. And then as we go into the late night, early morning, these storms should really start to fall apart. Maybe some lingering storms in the back end, but they should be somewhat severe to severe. And then, as this propagates to the east, we're really not expecting it to last all the way to Kansas City. You still might have some remnants of some, damaging winds still possible there, but the hail threat should be quite minimal, and so should the tornado threat. So yeah, that's what we're talking about in terms of the timing there. So let's go over to day 3. And as you can see, we do have a day 3 risk out, another slight risk, and a pretty large marginal risk that's going to extend off to the north. Let me go switch this to snowfall. Hey, thank you, Matthew, for the 5. How's Owensboro, Kentucky on Tuesday? Don't worry, we'll be talking about that. But as of right now, it looks like you guys would be in a hypothetical marginal risk for Tuesday. But yeah, we will talk about Tuesday in just a second, but we're not quite there yet. We're over here on Monday. Yeah. I think. Hold on. Let me double check. Yeah, today's Saturday. Tomorrow. Yeah, this is Monday. Sorry. But yeah, so this is the threat for tomorrow. But I do appreciate the $5 though. We will circle back to that. Just remind me after I'm done with this main forecast. But yeah, so we do have a slight risk out there. That's going to be for parts of Wichita, Grand Island, Lincoln, Omaha, Kansas City, Des Moines, and then a marginal risk that expands over here towards like Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri, Iowa, southern, southeastern Minnesota, kind of central southern Wisconsin, and then also east or west and north, kind of there in Illinois. So some severe weather is going to be possible, but the highest threat here is going to be in this yellow region around the Omaha, Lincoln, Des Moines, Ames, Topeka, Emporia, Hutchinson, Hayes, and Kearney area for day 3. Now, let me check the latest model runs here, but I've kind of already looked at this day, but so, and it's not looking, overly dangerous. There is going to be a decent amount of shear in place, but let me see if the NAM 3K is in range, just so we can get a general timing going into day 3. Still on total snowfall. That's why nothing is picking up. All right, look over to the composite reflectivity. All right, let's see if it's in range. All right, pushing this through, you can see there's that day, and then going in, yeah, you see that MCS forms. Also, yeah, look at the NAM bringing in some storms a little bit further south on Sunday. Maybe even could see some damaging winds and hail there north and kind of near the Oklahoma City area. And that would be around like 10 to 11, but it still should be pretty marginal down there. And then let's come over to the next day here, see if this is in range. Kind of is. Yeah, most of the day doesn't really seem like much happens. Oh, what's going on there? Yeah, we're probably gonna have to wait for the HRRR to come out here. But yeah, not a whole lot of forcing with these storms really at all. Yeah, not even really much in the upper levels either. So we're not talking too much spin. Maybe a smaller threat than what is being shown here. Let me look at the GFS really quick and just see if there's any agreement here between the models. This is the GFS model. I do want to check the lower level shear mainly, just to see where the forcing is. This is a new trend. So going into the 20th, yeah, you can see that forcing is pretty late. So if we kind of zoom out here, you can see that during the day when we have the most instability, looks like we have a little bit of a trough kind of rounding the bottom here. And that forcing really doesn't show up into the severe weather region until like way later. So we might not see storms until like way later into the day. And if you notice there on the NAM 3K, let's come back over to there, bring it back over to the future radar. We kind of get a little area, a little MCS form on the western side on the 20th. That goes through there. And then on the 20th, you have some storms kind of forming back all the way over here near like Cheyenne, east of Cheyenne over there near like Nebraska, McCook, and Goodland. So that might be our main severe weather threat, but that's going to be way late. That's like 1 a.m. going into Tuesday morning. So maybe some severe weather out here. It seems like it's a conditional threat. We'll have to see what the HRRR says as it gets in range of this storm, but it seems like a lot of this slight risk is pretty conditional, and we might have to watch a little bit further to the west than what is being indicated here. Both the NAM and the GFS seem to be somewhat in agreement on that. So next in line, we're not going to really talk about this day too much because it's kind of far out there, and we still need a lot of these model details to kind of come in. But we do have a day 4 severe weather risk, and this is the big one. This is the one that, at least on the models right now, seems to have the most potential for some dangerous severe weather for a lot of folks out there. So we have a little area, 30% probability. So all that means is that we are probably going to get an enhanced this day for the day 3 risk outlook. And as you can see over there, we got like Kansas City, Jefferson City, parts of Springfield, parts of Bloomington, Galesburg, Quincy, Davenport, Rockford, Dubuque, Cedar Rapids, Waterloo, Ames, and Des Moines, all in this 30% risk for severe weather. So this is 4 days out. So there's a decent amount of model agreement that this is going to kind of set up somewhat like this. And so all modes of severe weather are going to be possible this day. We'll look at it on the GFS real quick in a minute. But around that, we have a yellow area for severe weather. That's going to include parts of Michigan, Wisconsin, southeastern Minnesota, parts of Iowa, also parts of Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma as well, northern Arkansas, and then over here in Missouri as well, Springfield, Joplin, and St. Louis are all in that slight risk. So this is going to change a little bit as we get closer. The models are obviously not going to be 100% right now. So these little areas are going to shift around. But generally speaking, this is kind of an area where we are expecting some severe weather to happen. And it does seem like the biggest threat for that's going to be over here, kind of centered for parts of Iowa, little parts there in Wisconsin, Illinois, Missouri, and Kansas over there near like the Kansas City area. So just make sure that you guys pay attention to future forecasts if you are in any of these areas, as details will develop as we get closer. So let's go ahead and push this forward and just kind of see what the kinematics are looking like on this day. So this would be the 21st. Yeah, so it looks like a line of storms is going to develop somewhere in around, like the Wisconsin area, going all the way down into Iowa and Missouri. Now, the GFS fires late always, just because it's not picking up on those subtle, small-scale kinematics. So in order to see just how widespread this day is truly going to be, we're going to have to wait until, some of our shorter range models come out. But, I mean, if we look at the lower level winds, there are plenty. This is actually, not the same kind of system we've been dealing with over the past couple of days. I mean, we've been having just little small disturbances kind of ride the Gulf Coast, little small low pressure systems. But this is actually a pretty large scale low pressure system, and it's pretty organized according to the GFS. You can see definitely got a decent area and a large swath here of those lower level winds, which again, we look at the lower level and upper level winds, the direction of them and the speed of them to determine how much spin is going to be in the atmosphere. So it's very important to kind of dissect this. And you can see that this spreads, even further north than what is being indicated here. I mean, we could have, a very broad swath here of, tornadic potential all the way from Oklahoma up into Wisconsin. Let's go look at the upper levels here. Yeah, same kind of deal. Definitely have plenty of upper level winds as well as this storm starts off here on this would be Tuesday. And then let's come over here to the surface base cape. Wow. Yeah, plenty of instability along this axis as well. So plenty of spin, plenty of fuel. Everything's kind of lining up here for a decent caliber of a severe weather event. Let's look at the supercell composite. Yeah, it looks like everything's kind of lining up there. That's about around what I would expect there. Plenty of instability and spin, so we should have a decent chance of seeing supercells in the region. Let's go look at the dew point. Yeah, those dew points extend pretty healthily all the way up here into Wisconsin. So a pretty wide warm sector here. You got the spin, you got the fuel, the instability. Things are lining up for Tuesday to be pretty severe. So definitely got to watch a pretty large area out here as these storms come through. And again, these details will change. There is a chance that the models come in and then, we're not really talking about as much of a dangerous day just because, some factors kind of come in that we weren't really expecting, which happens all the time. So don't really get too overworked about it. As of right now, yes, it looks like a pretty serious day. But again, the models can change. They can downtrend. They can uptrend. I would if you're in any of these areas, just know that the kinematics that are showing up on the models right now definitely warrant you to at least show up for a couple more forecasts, just to make sure that you are in the know in how this is progressing on our weather models, which are essentially just an AI algorithm that spits out solutions based off of data that was taken today, and then it extrapolates that out into the future. So, it can make mistakes all across the board and not get this right. So, things will change as we get closer. But yeah, I mean, looking at the GFS, it's definitely looking like a pretty dangerous day. Let's go check it on. See if the NAM 12K is in range and kind of compare contrast what the models are thinking here. Yeah, looks like the NAM is in range here. So it looks like it's a little bit of a slower progression here. By 1 p.m., 4 p.m., cells are starting to fire as far west as like Omaha, going down into northern Kansas there. Let's come over to the lower level winds. A little bit stronger lower level winds by 1 p.m. out here. Really hyper focused there in like near Rochester and Des Moines. Depending on how far north the moisture goes, we could even see a tornado threat even farther north than there. So they might shift this a little bit to the north, to be honest. Or not shift the whole risk, but extend parts of the risk to the north. Plenty of winds in the lower atmosphere and in the upper atmosphere as well. Let's look at the surface-based Cape. Plenty of instability all the way up there into Wisconsin and Minnesota. I want to see how far north this ends up going. I mean, that could extend all the way up into the UP of Michigan eventually there. Look at that. About almost 1,000 joules per kilogram there in the UP of Michigan. That's pretty impressive, even just for May. But yeah, definitely both models kind of hinting at, a large scale system that could bring potential for all severe hazards. And if they hold like it is, could potentially even see stronger tornadoes out of this. So definitely got to keep our eye on it. Definitely come in if you're in any of these areas for forecasts after this. And we will definitely keep you guys up to date on what the models are saying about this. But, looks like sometime during peak heating hours is when we're going to get that severe weather really start to ramp up out there. Yes, it could be very widespread. Let me see if the NAM is showing. The NAM has surface-based CIN. Yeah, it looks like there isn't much of a cap for most of that little region here. So yeah, could get storms even far as far south as maybe even into Texas. I mean, this could be a large kind of line of storms that could extend all the way up from southern Texas, going all the way up into Wisconsin, even into potentially the UP of Michigan, and then later on in the day that would push into parts of Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, and Little Rock, or over there in Arkansas. So yeah, definitely a lot going on there that needs to be watched as we get closer for sure. But again, models can sometimes overplay events like this, but sometimes they get it just right, or they underestimate a little bit, because again, we're 4 days out. The models will change; they're not accurate, but we'll definitely keep an eye on it as that new data comes in. But yeah, so that's what we're talking about. Does anybody have any questions in terms of timing for like day 1 through day 3? So for like tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, because we're not going to really talk about timing for day 4, but we'll answer like the general like risk area, like if you're in like the risk and you need to come back for a later forecast, we'll answer that, but we're not going to answer timing just yet for that day. But yeah, if you got a state in mind, put it in chat. How many people do we have here? Can we do zip codes? No, we have 745 people watching. I don't think we can do zip codes. So yeah, just put your state in chat. Is Kentucky going to get hit with these storms? So you guys are just outside. So if we go over to day 4, you're just outside of that enhanced. There is no risk for day 5. And day 6 is to your south and east. We also have a risk for day 6, but that's just too far out to really talk about too much. But yeah, so, Kentucky might be in a marginal risk, or they could shift parts of the slight into Kentucky. All right, looks like we got a request for Illinois. So let's see. Yeah, Illinois is not going to be. So there's a small chance for severe weather on day 3. It's like a marginal risk is possible there. Let's kind of push this through. Yeah. It's like right at the tail end on Monday. We're kind of like around like 5 to 6 like 4 to 6 p.m., a line of storms could develop in northern Illinois. Now, it looks like it's going to be hit or miss, really dependent on how far south that line extends down. But yeah, it does seem like a small chance for severe weather as that line convects right before it kind of heads off over to the Great Lakes there for most areas. And also, Chicago can get some rain, maybe some thunder as well with that. Yeah, not looking like too dangerous of a severe risk over the next 3 days. Let's see here. West Virginia's looking good. Southwest Missouri. So Southwest Missouri is looking good for all days. For all days here. But it does seem like you might be, yeah, you are going to be, so day 4, which we're still getting more details, Southwest Missouri is going to be in that slight risk. So just make sure that you have a plan in place as that comes through. But again, we're not going to be talking about timing. Just, tune in for later forecasts and we will be able to get you more details on that. Minnesota. So yeah, parts of Minnesota, especially the southern parts, are going to have some sort of severe weather threat. Not tomorrow, but the next day. So if we come back over to here, so you guys are going to be in the day 3, mainly like the Rochester, Winona area and La Crosse, south of St. Paul. General thunderstorms on day 2, but on day 3, let's see if we can get some sort of general timing. Yeah, it looks like early morning. There potentially on the 20th. Now, again, this timing will change and the placement of these storms will change as we get closer, but just make sure you have a plan in place to deal with some potential severe weather when you wake up in the morning, or who knows, maybe it will wake you up. But yeah, that's your main risk, and then on day 4, you guys are going to be in a slight risk. But associated with that line, we're not exactly sure what the risks are going to be, but I could check on the models here just really quick. Let me do that real quick. We'll come over here to the surface-based cape. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of instability that makes it up there. So their main threat's going to be damaging winds. I mean, maybe even a small, brief spin up can't be ruled out along that kind of line of storms as well. But we'll have to see. Usually, you need more instability than that to get a spin up, but maybe it's possible. Maybe like a 2% might be issued up there. Definitely not 0. Missouri. So let's see. So yeah, it looks like tomorrow you guys are going to be in a marginal risk up there near like the Kansas City area. There's Kansas City. Chillicothe, Trenton is also in that marginal risk. And then we also have, it's not going to be for tornadoes, though. It's mainly going to be a small chance for damaging winds and some hail. So, I mean, really not a dangerous day. Going into the next day, though, you guys are going to be in a slight risk. Let's go try to see what the timing is for both of these days for you. Get a little bit of area of storms move through. And then, yeah, it looks like the storms could come through you by around 11 p.m. So it's going to be like a later night thing on day 2. So that's going to be for tomorrow. And then going into day 3, let's see if we have the timing. Yeah, it looks like you could get some storms early morning, but those really shouldn't be severe. So yeah, it looks like your main severe weather going into Monday is going to be at around 8 p.m., but expect maybe some rain and some thunder in your morning commute to be possible there. But yeah, it looks like your main issue is going to be right around 8 p.m. There going into Monday. And then we're going to have to watch to see how far to the east this little MCS will propagate. But I do want to see what the HRRR has to say about this day before I really comment too much on this guy right here. When is this? You're in OKC. There's multiple days. So day 1, which is today, have severe weather all the way from Kansas up to Wisconsin. Biggest chances up there near Wisconsin. Also, some severe weather still possible in the southeast. Going into day 2 for like the Oklahoma City area, you guys are in a general thunderstorm risk. But the NAM, believe it or not, actually brings a storm pretty close to you. So they might extend like a marginal risk into Oklahoma City, but I'm really not expecting expecting too much more than that for tomorrow, and that would be around 11 p.m. And then on day three, we do have a general thunderstorm risk, and that could develop maybe or maybe not. Just depends. Just depends. There does seem to be a little bit of a capping inversion down there that's going to keep things from really getting too serious for you. And then going into day four, though, in that region, you can see like areas like Ponca City, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Norman, Shawnee, all those areas are going to be in a slight risk for severe weather. So definitely a day to watch out for. I think tornadoes could be possible even as far down south as there. So definitely keep an eye out for the latest forecast, especially for Tuesday. Seeing someone talk about avocados in chat. Avocados low key disturb you because the way they are formed. Oh, you mean like the severe weather out avocados? Not all quiet, but your most dangerous day is going to be on Tuesday for sure. Yeah, no problem. Texas. So Texas as a whole, if we put that in the center here, we're not really talking about much for Texas. There's going to be a strong capping inversion in place. So, you guys have had your fair share of severe weather. I think it's time you get a break. And it looks like Mother Nature finally agrees as that capping inversion should stay strong for most of Texas. Now, could still get some storms in the very northern panhandle. Very northern panhandle on tomorrow. So could have some storms pop up there, and some of those could have the tendency to have some spin ups to it. Also, some damaging winds and large hail as well. But most of the state of Texas is going to be good to go over the next few days. But as we go into day four, those storms, although they probably won't be the highest caliber storms of the day. I do think a marginal risk could extend pretty far down to the south, as it does seem the cap breaks all the way down into Texas, almost all the way to the Mexico border. So we'll have to see how the lower or the higher resolution models pick up on that as we get closer. But really, from now until Tuesday, you guys are looking pretty clear and hot. You guys are looking toasty down there. Very toasty. You can probably cook an egg on your sidewalks, especially over there in Florida. Florida's heat index got into like 110 already. Not looking forward to that heat and humidity. I know that's eventually going to make it up to Alabama. Thank you, Judy, for the 5. I appreciate it. Is your day Sunday or Monday? Kind of looks like both. Let me check that out for you, Judy. So if I remember, you are over in this region. Yeah, there you are. So let's come over. So day one, it looks like you're in a general thunderstorm risk today. Tomorrow, you're going to be in a slight risk. Looks like your timing is going to be sometime between 7 and 10 p.m. Then that moves off to the east. So your main risk for tomorrow, you got a small chance for tornadoes, but your main risk is going to be damaging winds and large hail. Could maybe still see some significant weather, but that it'll be very hit or miss. But yeah, it looks like tomorrow is going to be a dangerous day for you. Somewhat of a dangerous day. Slight risks aren't too crazy, but they can get a little hectic every now and then if you get a direct hit by a storm. Looks like on Monday, let's see if there's a storm that comes close to you. Yeah, there's this little MCS that forms up to your north on Monday. So we'll have to see, but most of the storms stay at bay, according to the NAM, probably because of a pretty intense cap a little bit further to the south. Yeah, I mean, you're just completely capped out. If that's going to be the case, you're not going to see anything. But I still want to get the HRRR's opinion on this as it comes into range. Let me see if you're in day four's risk. I think you're just outside of it. Yeah, you're just outside of day four's risk. So does anybody else have any questions? You got your generator today. That's good. Lower Alabama. So in lower Alabama, we're not really expecting any severe weather except for kind of in the short term here. Seems like, though, it might not make it all the way down south to lower Alabama, but areas like Montgomery might get some storms a little bit later tonight at around 10 p.m. But then after that, things should really start to clear out. Just general thunderstorm risk. Little pop-up thunderstorms are still going to be possible on the backside of this low going into tomorrow. And then, all the way through day 3, you're not really seeing too much down there for Alabama. Definitely going to start to get hot, though. And I don't like the heat. Like it's so weird. Like I don't like the cold, but I don't like the humid heat. I can stand the dry heat. Like I'd be perfect in like Arizona, even with how hot it gets there. But that muggy heat, man, I just don't like it. You just sweat immediately. Don't wear white shirts in summer in Alabama. Not a good idea. Kansas. So yeah, we can go back over here to Kansas. So here's the state of Kansas. We come over. Yeah, it looks like your main risk is going to be tomorrow here in Kansas. You can see that we do have an enhanced risk over there near Hayes, Great Bend, Hutchinson, Dodge City, and Garden City. And the timing is going to generally be the most severe weather is going to be possible. It's in between like 3 and like 10 p.m. About 3 to 10 p.m. And some storms could fire there. It's mainly going to be a damaging wind threat, but again, when we get these damaging wind threats with the cold pool surging, you get. Thank you, Judy, for the $2. I appreciate it. Strong City, Kansas, for a friend. All right, we'll bring that up. Let me figure out where that is. Strong City, Kansas. All right, yeah, all I'm finding is Strong City, Kansas. I can't find Strong City, Kansas, for a friend. So maybe try a zip code. All right, let's see. Does anybody else have any? I'm just kidding. Yeah, so here's Strong City, Kansas. So tomorrow looks like Strong City, Kansas is going to be in a slight risk for severe weather. A tornado risk looks like a 2% for tornadoes. Wind risk is going to be a 15%, and hail risk is going to be a 15%. So all modes of severe weather will be possible, but the highest risk is going to be some large hail of 1 inch and above, and some damaging winds of 60-mile-per-hour winds and above there. Going into day 3, looks like also a slight risk is going to be possible there for Strong City, Kansas, and then a slight risk again. So multiple days for severe weather there for Strong City, Kansas. Really tomorrow into Tuesday. So definitely be weather aware. Looking at the timing of some of these storms, looks like the MCS will be coming through sometime between like 7 and 10 p.m. Tomorrow. And then that moves out, and then it's kind of a question mark for Strong City, Kansas, going into the next day. If the cap really holds in place, you guys really aren't going to see much at all on Monday. Not barely even a speckle of rain. But if that cap breaks, you could see more. So I'm still waiting for the HRRR's opinion on that. But this little cold pool might surge a little bit to the south and east. Let me see where the instability is, because that's usually where the cold pool surges kind of like to. Yeah, if this thing does form like this, you might get some stronger winds and maybe some more rain going into like the really early morning hours. But again, still waiting for a little bit more of an opinion there from other models. But definitely keep your eye out on future forecasts, as we should have more clarity for you there. Is Wisconsin going to be severe on Tuesday? Yes, Wisconsin's going to be severe not only on Tuesday, but also on Monday as well. Have a smaller severe chance for Wisconsin on Monday. It's a marginal risk. Most likely could be, I wouldn't even rule out a little brief spin up. This is looking like a pretty potent little line of storms here. I do want to see what the HRRR has to say about this. Let me do that, because this little part of the run is in range of the HRRR. Let me see if these models are agreeing on that. That's pretty interesting. It's pretty potent. That might raise the risk a little bit further to the north there for the 20th if we have agreement. Yeah, not really too much agreement. Not really too much. So we'll have to see which model ends up being right there. But if that MCS does form up there further to the north, could have some little spin ups along the edge and some damaging winds as well. So that might be something that kind of surprises us pretty early on. But yeah, going into Tuesday is going to be your most dangerous day. It looks like a lot of folks in Wisconsin are in a slight risk from like Stevens Point, Appleton, Mino Money Falls, Kenosha, Janesville, Madison, Reedsburg, Richland Center, La Crosse. And then also parts of Wisconsin are also in that enhanced risk. You got Lancaster, Platteville, or Plateville, Dodgeville. Um, if you could dodge a wrench, you can dodge a bill. Monroe and Beloit. You guys got to be, just tuning in for later forecasts. Again, these little lines will shift around, but yeah, parts of Wisconsin are in that risk for Tuesday. Iowa. So yeah, we'll look at Iowa. So Iowa's mainly is going to be in a couple days risks. Even tomorrow, there could be a small chance for severe weather. So that'll be on Sunday, and that'll be with. Let me see. Yeah, so could be a little bit early there near Des Moines at around 2 p.m. And then that kind of moves out. Then maybe some more rain later on, but it really shouldn't be too severe there. And then going into day 3, it looks like parts of Iowa are in a slight risk here. A slight risk. Let me zoom out just a little bit. And so that's like Ames, Des Moines, Carroll, Denison, Atlantic, Creston, Clarinda there. So, large hail, damaging winds could be a possibility, maybe even a brief spin up. But again, really not seeing too much convection all throughout the day. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see if that really gets going or not. Oh, wait, this is the HRRR, dang it. Let me go back to the NAM. There we go. Yeah, not seeing too much convection. Might get something later in the night by around like 1 a.m. near Atlantic, Denison, Carl. But again, huge question marks. Huge question marks for Monday. And then yeah, on day 4, looks like parts like areas like Waterloo, Dubuque, Cedar Rapids, Davenport, Des Moines, Ames, Marshalltown, Waverly are all in that enhanced risk. And then on the outside, you got Mason City, Decorah, Fort Dodge, Carroll, Denison, Storm Lake, all in that slight risk. Oswego, Illinois. You guys will be later in the later in the day, so it'll be. Let me see where Oswego is. Well, I mean, we'll just look at it. So, Illinois, most of Illinois, like over here to like near Rockford, Bloomington, over there near like Davenport, Dubuque, in this area, Peoria, Galesburg. Guys need to be weather aware as this storm develops. But again, we don't really have too much exact details on like the intensity or what kind of storms we're going to be dealing with, other than the fact that it does seem like spin's going to be in the atmosphere. There's going to be enough instability, so there should be a tornado threat for almost the entire state of Illinois. Now, just how intense that will be, we still got to wait for a little bit more of the models to come out and the timing and everything. But all of Illinois pretty much needs to come in, needs to come back to later forecasts. It's been a weird season so far. It's been a very active one. It's actually been like near record tornado season so far. There's only been a couple years that have been like that have had more tornadoes at this point. Been very active. Very tiring indeed. Yeah, no problem, Elizabeth. Thursday, we're not going that far out, Matthew. So just tune in for later forecasts for Thursday. How about New Orleans? New Orleans look pretty good for the next couple of days. Not really seeing much severe potential at all. No, it's not going to be bad tonight in Alabama. No. As you can see, for the rest of the day here in Alabama, it's going to be some scattered showers, maybe some thunder, sparse, severe weather could be possible. But as you can see, throughout the day, we've only had one severe, like one area of like severe reports. Hey, thank you, Matthew Allen, for becoming an EF1 member. Didn't you have a question about somewhere, sometime during this? What did you say? Let me look at the fan funding. You done did ask a question about something. Oh yeah, Owensboro. So Owensboro's outside of the risk for now, but I would still stay tuned because you are close enough for things to shift around into your area. And even if it stayed just like this, you guys would probably have a chance for a marginal risk. Where's the most spin for Tuesday? Really, I mean, if you take the like pretty much the GFS and the NAM and add them together, this is the area with a decent amount of spin, and then the most spin is kind of up here, to be honest. So we might see some shifts to the north with some of these risks. I mean, that instability goes almost all the way up to the UP of Michigan. And with the amount of spin in the atmosphere all the way up there, you could see tornadoes all the way up into almost into Canada. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some shifts. But again, still kind of early. So these colors on the map and areas are pretty preliminary right now. Uh-oh. What did help do? Oh no. Everybody say happy birthday to Judy. Now it's really going to get bad. You message me on Discord when I get free time. Okay, yeah, I'll check it out. Judy has a birthday every month. Yeah, all right. It's weird. It's almost like someone keeps it's almost like somebody keeps lying on Judy's name in the chat. They all are funny. Yeah, Alabama's gonna be nice and chill. I mean, I would chase these storms today when they were at their peak, and like we only got like pea-sized hail. There's a lot of heavy rain, and the wind actually got pretty intense at one point. But they're nothing to be scared of. Just if you see a dark cloud, hear some thunder, just go indoors. Yeah, New Orleans is good. We're not really expecting any more craziness down there for a while. We got a big old cap that's coming in place. It's going to work its way in. As you can see with this model run, the future radar, really nothing happens all the way in the south. So essentially, we're getting a low pressure system that's going to bring the high pressure system that's kind of been slinging these MCSs one after another down here in the southern coast over and over. It's going to extend a little bit up further to the north, and we're going to get a little bit more drier air in the mid levels of the atmosphere, which is going to be our cap. And that's going to really keep that severe weather further up to the north. So we're getting another little migration to the folks that honestly do not need more severe weather. Honestly, no one needs any more severe weather. I'm sure we're all getting pretty darn sick and tired of it by this point. But because, yeah, I mean, we've already had a major outbreak in this region. Don't need another one. So fingers crossed that doesn't happen. Thank you, Claire, for subscribing, and John as well. By the way, guys, if you haven't subscribed or liked the stream yet, please consider it. Liking really doesn't do much for this stream, just shows me that I'm doing a good job in answering your questions somewhat well. I know it's hard. We're trying to change it up. To answering cities and zip codes to states because it's just been impossible. I've been trying to answer the zip codes and cities, but with like 500 to 1,000 people each forecast in chat, it's very hard. Yeah, also consider subscribing because we will be doing live coverage almost all of these days. Might not have to do live coverage on Monday. It looks like we might have to do live coverage tomorrow, which would be this day here. Or not this day. This day, we might have to do live coverage tomorrow. But it's a very I'm thinking about adding some criteria, like maybe like there has to be at least 1 million people in a 5% for me to go live, like a full coverage day. But I mean, I'm pretty rested, so I just don't want to. And I'm probably gonna go live tomorrow, is what I'm saying. Probably gonna go live. Um, I just want to see how I feel because I don't know what it was. I just kept on hitting a wall these past couple of days where some part of me wanted to go live longer, or go back live, but then like there's this other part of me that was shutting it down just due to like mental exhaustion, which is why I've been making all these changes to my diet and waking up earlier. So I want to see if having most of my day before a live stream, I want to see how that makes me feel because I don't know what it was. Just this last month and a half has just been it's been really hard to keep the endurance and stamina up to keep covering things day after day after day after day. It's been so rapid fire, so active. The last time this happened, I think, was like last June, and our last year's June, and it was very, very active. Enhanced risk every day, and I kind of felt the same way, but that was only like 20 something days. Like we've just been going nonstop since March. So it's been like really weird. I just keep hitting this block. It's like I want to go live, but then I don't feel like it. It's like it's not that I don't care about you guys because you guys know I do definitely care about you, and I'm watching the radar and I see a tornado warning in it makes me frustrated that I just do not have the stamina because it's just so small. Like these last few days I've only been able to go live for like 3 hours. So I've been trying to like wait until like a larger population center is being impacted, but that's not the way that I like to do things. I like to just cover everybody's area, and not just do the big cities. So I'm definitely gonna try to make some changes on my end, just so I can have more energy. I think a big part of it has just been my diet has been absolute crap. I'm probably low on certain vitamins that are like dangerously low. I've been eating a crap ton of salt, so my blood pressure has been spiking every now and then to like the point to where I'm getting like every now and then like a little panic attack. And we've been able to narrow that down to blood pressure because my mom, she came over once and took my blood pressure, and it was high, especially for my age. So that was the point where I was like, okay, maybe I should start to make some changes. But then, we kept on getting severe day after severe day after severe day. And I just didn't have any time to breathe because my sleep schedule was so messed up because I kept on going live like late night, trying to get the late night storms and trying to cover it all. And that screwed up my sleep schedule. So I would wake up, cover storms all day, have no time for myself at night. And then during the day, I was just eating crap food this entire month and a half. And so I'm setting a line in the sand, no coverage after 12 a.m. I just cannot do that unless I have days in advance to prepare. If it's during like a rapid fire, I can't do any coverage after 12 a.m. It's just not going to happen because I have to have some time to myself to do meal prep in the morning, and to just take care of myself, like work out, like I run on the elliptical and lift weights and get healthy again after all this damage to my body. So yeah, but we're doing it. Yesterday I went to bed at 12 a.m. And I woke up like feeling a little bit tired, but I mean the quality of sleep was like 10x, and I do have more energy. I feel a lot better. I ate a really healthy meal, and a homemade meal, something that I prepared. I prepared like a whole week's worth of food. in advance. So, if I need to stream and I need food, I don't need to order DoorDash, which is eating a hole into my wallet. Um, and yeah, and I'm gonna be when I finally get to move back into my house when renovations are done. Because again, just in case you guys don't know and you're new to the channel, my house flooded like a year and a half ago, and we're still getting through the renovations right now. But yeah, once that's done and I finally get to set up my stream room in my house, we definitely putting a microwave and a fridge in that. It's gonna be cool to make a little stream room. I think what I want to do is buy paintings, or not paintings, but buy storm photos from my friends, and then like frame them, like my friends that storm chase, and then frame them and put them behind me. I think that would be cool. Just running biceps, triceps, push-ups, ab stuff, all that. Been working out for a whole 2 days. No big deal. This whole 2 days. Remember the green screen? We might bring the green screen back. We might. Yes, we are getting a desk treadmill. That is definitely happening. Yes. So I can. That's one of the things I'm gonna do. So as soon as I move back into my house, I'm getting one of those standing desks, and then like once every hour or so, I'll stand the desk up, turn on the walking treadmill, and I'll be walking while doing live coverage. 2 days is definitely, yeah, it is better than none. Yeah, that's all it takes, guys. Is 2 days of hitting the gym, and you could be swole like me. Uh, but yeah, I've gained so much weight. It's been crazy. I think I've gained like this severe weather season like 30 pounds. It's crazy. On the basis I have to, man. I'm in a health hole right now. I'm in a health hole. So I got to really make some significant changes or my mental is going to continue to tank and I'm just going to start losing all my energy. I think it's a great plan. And I already did it successfully. The hardest thing was changing my sleep schedule, but I already did it once successfully. I've been slowly moving it back like 30 minutes to an hour. And then now I'm finally at 12 p.m. or 12 a.m., which I think is a reasonable hour. I don't want to wake up at 6 a.m. I'm sorry. Waking up at 8 a.m., I think that's fine. I can still do like stuff, like for instance, like if I have anything that I have to do, I can just schedule it in the morning. And then because storms usually fire later. Thank you, Matthew, for the 5. I appreciate that. I'm not shredded, guys. I only worked out 2 days. Takes longer than that. It takes months. But I'll get back. I want to be in one of those commercials where I was like, after I did this diet and exercise plan, I was looking back like I did when I was in high school. That's what I want. I want to get that. I want to get that back. Y'all ever seen those corny commercials? Yeah, it's been a lot of stress. But I'm glad it's somewhat slowing down. Obviously, I'm not looking forward to, covering a whole nother severe weather marathon, but it is what it is. It is what it is. I think if I can, get my health back and also set some boundaries, not do nonstop coverage. I gotta allow myself. I gotta allow myself to not cover some days, even though that there probably will be tornado warnings. I just got to admit to myself that I'm human and I can't possibly healthily cover as much weather as I have been. So, which doesn't mean we're going to be taking weeks off and going on vacation, once a month. It's not happening. But I mean, definitely going to be at least sometimes where we have to take an emergency day break just to kind of recover, recoup, and all that kind of stuff. Hey, Robin. Multi-day severe weather. Yeah, well, what I'm afraid of is that we're going to go back into June and it's going to be as crazy as last June. I hope not. Has to be a 10% hash risk. I think that's a little bit. I don't like that. not that any disrespect from Ryan, what he has going, I think is a great thing. When people tune in to his channel, they know it's going to be like a big outbreak, so they pay attention. So I think he's got that for him. But for me, that would be too much shame. Like I've got to lower the guilt I put on myself for missing a tornado warning, and just be like, hey, I can't. I'm not superhuman. I'm not robot. So I got to accept my human limitations. But I'm definitely not only going to go live like that. No, I'm. You can easily go live more than that and be fine. But I think he's got like a kid and a family and all that kind of stuff, or two kids now, if I know. So I don't blame him for only doing that. Well, that's kind of what I'm doing. The enhanced risk is, or it's usually the tornado risk. So if it's like 5% or higher, I do go live. I do not go live for 2% unless it's like an emergency. But for 2%, I'm usually not even at my computer monitoring radar at all. So I'm usually not ready for emergencies. So it's very rare that you'll see me live on a 2% day, unless it's one of those days that's like highly conditional, like for instance, like I think when I went live, the last time I went live on the 2% was like Wisconsin. We had an EF2, I think, up there. It was the kinematics were there. It was just a very conditional day, depending on whether the storms would fire or not. And if they did, we could have definitely gotten a strong tornado that day, which we did. So those are like the only times I usually go live on a 2%, but it's usually always like the 5% and higher. For slights or higher. Well, not all slight risks need like in-depth weather coverage. Like if you're just talking about, large hail and damaging winds, it like they're like people get alerts on their phones. You don't need like in-depth coverage, and usually people don't need coverage for slight risks unless there is a tornado risk. Like severe weather, everybody knows what to do for the most part, especially the low end severe weather. But it's the higher end significant severe weather they need some coaching on in the moment, because that's when you can get big time damage. That's when even being inside of your house might not be good enough. Like for instance, what just happened in Houston, that was a very significant windstorm that happened on an enhanced risk, but you can sometimes get those on slight risks. They just are very rare, but for the most part, the kind of caliber of weather that happens on a slight risk doesn't really need super in-depth coverage. People don't even really look for it either. It is comforting, yeah. I mean, it's always good to have somebody live during that time for sure, but it's impossible, especially going into severe weather season, a severe weather season this active. It's impossible to cover every slight risk. Will I go live for Hatch 60s? Yeah. Duh. But yeah, everybody, I think it's going to be it for me tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, I'll probably will go live tomorrow, most likely. The timing of that is probably going to be dependent on when that MCS actually starts to form and what ends up or actually happening with it. I'll be monitoring everything just to make sure that nothing kind of hits the fan earlier on, but I'm planning to go live later in the evening if need be, sometime between like 3 and like 5 to cover that storm for Kansas. And probably I'd be surprised if I had to go live on Monday, but we'll have to see what the HRRR has to say. But yeah, you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you guys for all of your generous donations during this stream. And also thank you for just tuning in, watching, chatting, and hanging out. And if you haven't already, say happy birthday to Judy. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.